Hey, to Christ be to glory. Let's get after it today on this 21st of March, 2021. It is Monday, starting off the week. Pretty nice. Future strategy automated coming in awesome again today at that 9:30 mark that I've been going after, and also was not a part of the start of the Sunday future open there for the daily aspect that I like to look for, but that would have worked out as well for the parameters that I would have set on that. And from that, I did have a little bit of lack of a preparation coming into market day today through preparation before today, and even in pre-market. It was just kind of a little bit scattered, just as a reference for me as I'm watching this video back. So keeping that in mind, bearing that in mind, but still going through all of my kind of rituals and doing all those things, but keeping in mind, hey, I'm not going to press anything hard because I'm going to try to make something up, and maybe in an attempt to say that I was paying attention or that I am here, but I'm going to reel myself back in and say I failed myself a little bit today of the preparation work, that I've made other choices to get myself to this situation here. So I'm going to live with it, but still learn as much as I can as I'm in front of the screen. So that was this morning for the day. I mentioned the futures automated trade. I'm also eliminating. I took another stupid minuscule loss on another little 1 minute candle reference trade that I tried to do some back testing on, that I thought was just very easy and simplistic, but just for the 2 times in a row that now I've taken a loss on, it's just kind of stupid and going against the grain of what my plan is. So going to take that one out for now, adjusting there, and then potentially maybe adding something right after the close there for some more plays on that, just to take little tiny micro scalps, predictable, repeatable, back-tested, non-emotional types of trades to be able to scalp a little bit of moves off of the S&P 500 through the modality of ES and MES there. So that was, I do also need to fire up the TV recorder again to get that Trader HQ channel back up and running again. We got some awesome movers today. Very awesome to see there. So yeah, let's get after it. First ticker I wanted to mention, I only took one trade on the day, and that was PIK on very small size. I didn't trade any of the big movers with real positions or with big size at all yet, because they were paper positions. NRSN first screen day mover. Israeli biotech 2 to 4 million floater. They had a newscast today of FDA clearance for their treatment of ALS. They had just short of $1 billion volume on the day. Pretty ludicrous. And I forgot to go over the dollar volume on the day. NASDAQ $248 billion volume on the day. NYSE $337 billion volume. OTC's $1.9 billion volume on the day as of hour 17 after the close here now. What a great one to watch here on NRSN. Chris had an absolutely awesome trade on it, looking for that dip and rip setup, getting in 209, I think he said, and playing it. Yeah, obviously, how to estimate this type of trade or this type of price action beforehand is pretty insane or impossible. And I told him, too, if he was holding this long, even in the $4 range, just a tattoo bag holder on your head, because we've not seen a chart like this in a long time, but it is great to see that not only does that trade work and produce a 10% repeatable, predictable profit opportunity to the upside of trading a trade based off of little technical bottom put in here within that first 15 minutes after market open, finding price reclaim back to VWAP, and then continuing to just push and squeeze shorts to new high of days there. Awesome squeezing and continuation from this one. Started in actually short on the paper side, as we came into a halt here at 1017, opened from the halt, looked pretty weak, and then slammed back to a new high of day, slamming more shorts. I was even thinking, that could be a place, like we could just start dumping from here. That could potentially be a place to get started short, but didn't take any action even on the paper side there. And sure enough, it did push to a new high of day. 2 minutes later, that was the regional high there. Pulled off hard after that little move. Then we get in this hard, long wedge pattern. Starting in short within, call it like the 3rd minute after that hard pullback. Now that it's in this retrograde space of, okay, we came from a very, very volatile rocket ship price action move there. Now everybody is aware of what's going on. More people are showing up. More eyeballs are on the screen. Now we're establishing, okay, everybody settle down, clear out your sinuses, get ready for potential more action, because we're about to pick a direction within a few minutes. Like, that's the mentality of after it can continue to just do hard move all the time. Eventually we come to this point of resting, that, even drawing these little lines here, that we do find some amount of consolidation and some amount of just, hey, let's catch our breath is the phrase that I wanted to use there before we choose anything else. So I'm starting it a little bit early on that short there, as I thought it was rejecting a little bit of lower high off of this candle, but still holding that trade as it was within that wedge, and not showing that it was just going to be completely squeeze ready for a short, but also keeping and bearing in mind that, man, this $6 level is holding pretty decently. And that was my entire watch of it and thesis as I'm looking at that level 2 time and sales, watching it like a hawk, of understanding, okay, here we go, testing $6 again. It's holding, and we're breaking to the downside of it. It's obviously not a pure technical level hold, but it is that $6 level. And saying, okay, we're holding again. Okay, now we're bouncing back up, but we're putting in another lower high. Okay, now we're coming back down to test that level again. Okay, we break to the downside from there. So these little tiny moments that time and time again continues to hold, but doesn't really ever get that squeeze. And sure enough, then as I think it's still holding. I'm going to adjust my risk level to this 6.5 level here, this $half level. If it breaks this little regional high, I think it could just get crazy. And that's not the thesis of the trade that I initially went with on that short. I was looking just for the down move. Like, even if it just reclaimed a VWAP, I would have been out. I've taken that little scalpy trade there for that. I wasn't certainly looking for the death of this thing or just for it to panic and fall off the table, but looking for any amount of reclaim after this was 300% that we were trading at from that previous trading day's close that we were trading at during that time frame. So, that's the crux of it all. Is sometimes the trade thesis is it's up too much, and finding and picking tops can be a decent trading strategy at sometimes, but also other times it's playing with fire. But just putting my hand in the fire on this one, playing it to the paper side, and love the learning experience that I got from it. In how we get to this candle here at 10:45, we get this little push and say, okay, shoot, price is actually rising above that 650 level. And then sure enough, whoosh, rug gets pulled. This thing gets absolutely drugged hard with bigger volume to the downside of 5.5 even. But then even in that next minute candle, it was holding and right back above $6 within that next 10 minutes after that. So just awesome price action, even though it screwed me over royally. Man, what a great experience to be a part of, to see that again, of just what a naked beast these tickers can be and how many games they can play like that, and where other people's stops were. Obviously, there were other stops on the same way for shorts right at that 6.5 level. And obviously, there was other longs who were trying to play in on that same type of thesis that got washed under, that immediately got caught up in just the smoke and revelry of what was an illusion in that price movement there. So, that was a pretty good metaphor with that. I can props myself there. Sure enough, had another test to break to a new high off of that little candle, but still not the new high of day as of yet. Consolidating still around that $6 level into lunch session and afternoon session that it did break to a new high of there of 8.18, and then kind of just, up and down channels here for how it's trading. So it will be interesting to see how we trade over the next few days there on this specific ticker. Very low floater, not a crazy history of one and doneing whatsoever. So love to see price action, and love to hopefully see this incite some other great movers come along to produce some crazy price action and profitability opportunities on other small cappers and low floaters like that. PIK was the one I did trade. This was a very, very a small position size, but a very, very just speculative, not very convicted type of trade. I only took it because I felt I was more familiar with it as compared to the NRSN or the other movers that were going around at the time. But just even still, it's a third day, weird price action getting coming in to market hours today with this pre-market price action there. So just saying, okay, are we expecting lightning to strike twice, like 3 times even now, for how it initially rose right out of the gate on that first green day, the same thing on that second green day, and now for how many times it's done that already within these past 2 trading days of its movement, that, okay, we're expecting the same exact thing. Didn't play it immediately out of the gate there, but had a little bit of play. That would have, for the type of speculative trade that I was going for, that would have been the only player opportunity to base it off of those previous 2 days to look for that specifically, not even what I was looking for. But thought I was getting caught up or just picking off a little bit of, hey, we're holding this 6.5 $half level here. Bounced perfectly off of that in that first minute candle and this fourth minute candle. Got a little bit too far away of a fill of 6.68 as it was already kind of bouncing the minute after. But then as we were starting to hold within this, what candle is that? 9:35 minute candle here, perfectly bounces off of that again. Was thinking of, oh man, that was my opportunity of sizing in hard, but I was watching it more so of, okay, are we going to break here? Are we going to hold? And then sure enough, as it bounces, falls perfectly 265, immediately starts to rise back up off of there, just like a beautiful bouncing ball off of that point. It was like, oh, okay, gosh, I missed my fill on that. I was not ready for it. I was kind of just caught up in the curiosity of, oh, are we going to break here? Are we going to hold? And Oh, wow, it held. Oh, maybe I should have gotten long there. Oh, way too late for that. So that was the mentality on that one. But then sure enough, it did break 2 minutes after that entry to the downside there, getting filled at 644. Glad I got filled there. I was surprised I didn't get filled closer to 6.3, underneath 6.4 at a minimum for the type of slippage and price action, how quickly that was moving for that trade. And really nothing left for the morning session on that one, just a total wash and dump for price action there. But very, very speculative size. 3.5 loss. Yeah, I'll take that any day for the potential push above VWAP to test it closer to high of day. Didn't expect it to do anything crazy, but should it have done that to test a new high of day around the 7.2 area, we've got the 7.5s in those previous highs of that previous trading day to also have been the catapult, and other tickers also moving in the sector of that MULN and NRSN. That could have just had a sector-wide, not the same type of tickers, but sector-wide, just market-wide type of sympathy move there that I thought I could produce something, but was not in the cards today for that one on PIK. Then I'll talk about MULN. Same thing, another little speculative short. Started in, as I thought we were getting a little similar wedge. We're up on a crazy, crazy move here on the daily. Jackaroo just absolutely nailing this one. I think he took 200K over the past however many days he's been in this trade. 1, 2, 3, I think 1-9, maybe 3 trading days that he's been in this one, and just never, probably even longer than that, but never changing his bias. And I mean, that's why he is where he is for that type of logic, which is hard for me to still fathom at times. For the things he was even saying on this specific ticker too, it just kind of contradictory and a little bit weird, but that's who he is, and that's what trading requires. You got to be weird to trade. Starting in short, as I thought we were just kind of petering out. We already had a nice move in pre-market here, still at new relative highs in this breakout trend on the daily. Was not crazy volume yet to the downside, like there was more room left to squeeze shorts. So starting in very early, as I thought, okay, now we're kind of double topping here. This could be the downside move to break this little under 3.5 here with my entry starting in short. What's this? Just 11-minute Eastern time. Starting in there, but failed very hard even with this paper trade of establishing a risk reward setup. I just had no amount of even thought placing of where would I risk if this thing started to go against me. And I realized that within 2-3 minutes after this second minute candle that it immediately perked back to the upside of VWAP, I went, oh my gosh, I have factored in no real parameters to the downside if I was to be wrong on this trade. And in realizing that, then I said, okay, I definitely need to establish one, but also then, as one of my rule sets says, I need to fix my mistake I need to correct my mistake when I make it. So adjusting, maybe I could have allowed it to risk high of day had I prepared with that going in, but just told myself, okay, now for how it's spiking in this minute candle here, I'm just going to give it that high. If it perks above there, I'm definitely going to cut it and live with the mistake that specific trade was. And glad that happened too, as a reminder when I come to those real trades, that it's not just about seeing something and then seeing a potential trade thesis and then just automatically going with it and testing it. But that's the reason why I continue to just push these paper trades, is to build these patterns and repetitions for my own memory to understand, okay, wow, I could see a potential trade coming off of this point right here, but the risk reward at this specific case can't allow me to get an entry. And even if it did start to go, it would be more probable or beneficial for me to be waiting until that trade is actually confirmed to give me a better risk reward, should it just immediately revert back against me, than to play a more speculative trade and have a looser risk to the backside, like that specific entry point was, and to play it that way, to take a bigger loss than than I really could have. So learning lessons there. Roy, I think, also nailed it, going long in the morning and short in the afternoon, of perfect timing. Of course, it always sounds perfect in the chat, but of course, those specific entries and exits may never be. That's what it just always sounds on Twitter, right? That's why I never go on there of trying to look at other people's trades or comparing myself or what anybody else is doing. Obviously, learning from others and saying, okay, wow, they're finding opportunity out there and seeing these different things. I'm opening myself up to their experiences and their failures and losses, but gains and profits as well, too. What are they exploring? What are they seeing? Obviously, just learning and growing as much as I can, but in no way, shape, or form, like I mentioned, comparing myself to them or just trying to be this egotistical trader that it has to be making money every single day, or that I have to be pulling this X amount of percentage from these specific tickers. It's at the end of the day, it's about making money and doing this so we don't have to go do this anymore. Like, that is why I've mentioned this before in daily training recaps of, that's why I go run, so I don't have to go running anymore. I don't want to run, but I run so I don't have to go run anymore, because running sucks. And I don't want to be running when I'm 80 years old because I don't know how to run anymore. And that type of logic that way. So that was MULN, and that's really all I want to mention. I missed GFAI. I think I mentioned this in the Friday daily training recap there of the Jackaroo mentioned this one, and I love the daily as well. I could see the same thing. I could still see the opportunity there today for where it's closing and potentially moving on a breakout. I want to look at dollar volume today, 27 million. For how blocky it looks like it's trades, it's similar to how CEI moved in the very early stages, just for how those prints ends up going off. And it's not my most favorite for how these candles like to print and just how the overall chart looks. Just like it's cleanliness in I have a designer's eye, so that's just what I look for in those types of charts and trades. I want to see it clean and beautiful and pristine and moving, flowing nicely, not just kind of like so the GFAI. But if it's making money, I'll take it either way. I really don't care in that regard. But yeah, I certainly think it's still decently holding VWAP. Prices moving higher today. We're closing 18% in the green from that Friday close. So the float on this one, if I remember correctly, is 9 million floater. So we still could see, I still think there could be opportunity on this one, even for this little cup pattern that we're already testing. Maybe we get a little pullback or rest day tomorrow from that previous high on the, what day was that? The 11th of this month. And then maybe start to test some of that volume or potential bag holders that could be in still from January or 14th on that specific candle. So we'll see. That'll be an interesting ticker to keep on watch as well. And that is all that I had. I sincerely thank you guys for watching. We will catch you guys on the next one.